Welcome to another Motortown post-event race commentary. Today we got the 4x2 Cabover competition, a semi-truck racing series between the Cuda, the SRT and the Atlas 4x2. Let's jump right into it because I don't have that much time before the next event starts, and as I mentioned in the last one multiple times, I'm going to be hosting, so I need to be there on time. But I still want to get this one recorded, so here we go. Starting with a steel mill track. So yeah, this has been one of the first ones that I drafted up because I've been looking for some more semi-truck racing for a while now, and honestly this has been one of the best events that I've ever seen in terms of how it turned out. Just the type of racing that we had, how close it got, it was fun all around, really amazing. We are of course using fully upgraded machines with the 540 horsepower engines plus turbocharger. And we should be getting going here in a moment. 4 laps. Funnily enough, this is actually not the track that I drafted up for this event. There are 2 versions. This is the long one. I was planning for the short one to be used, but yeah, that stuff is easy to mix up. We got a forum set up where we can save all the tech versions, but stuff like that usually goes into the same one. And yeah, I completely merged with Steve there for a moment, which is kind of weird, but here we go. Immediately got engine damage, and in this area there's of course no repair stations, so gonna make do with this. It's not that big of a problem, but it was a decent setback from the start. So we are going to go through this area and through the entire race with this kind of damage now. Not much that can be done about this, sadly. But yeah, in front of me we got Noel, and further up ahead Steven, Raging, Chess, Goleador and Ron Hool in first. But yeah, let's now just follow the track a bit further, and the next time will actually be the one where I realize that something hasn't gone as planned, because up until this point the short and long version are the same, but for the short version we would be turning left. So I've been setting up for a left turn there, but then realized, okay, this is not the one that I had in mind here. Anyways, I managed to overtake Noel on the inside. Hope that I can also get a bit further ahead and catch back up to some other people, but I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be in the cards here. After all, I have some engine damage that I need to contend with. At least the car, or I mean the truck, isn't overheating all that much, so that's definitely good. I can still push. I don't need to upshift way early. I don't need to let it coast all the time in order to avoid fully overheating. Not having to deal with that is definitely not a given with most vehicles with that kind of damage level. But I'm fighting for not last position here, so there's also that. Also, Noel had some weird lag bubble going on in the past few events. So I'm trying to stay clear of them and trying to get ahead and just go away from them to avoid further issues. And they seem to have a little problem crashing, and therefore I managed to get at least a bit further ahead. So a lot of people have done the first lap now. Again, it's a bit longer than planned because, yeah, once again, it's a long version. The long version goes to the west side of the entire area and does the whole loop around thing. You can basically see the other part of the track on the right there, while the short version just comes back around in a much more straightforward fashion. With a few chicanes, but I mean, at least the track also works well for these vehicles. The long wall that is. So while I wasn't really planning on using the long one for these, it's still a pretty good race. So nothing really too bad here. But yeah, I'm slowly catching up to Steven. Noel is quite far behind at this point. But I'm also seeing quite a few other people there. Ronhol and Goleador basically fighting for third position there. That might also be useful for me if they slow each other down far enough. And I also gotta say I really love how the balancing worked out. I was a bit concerned about the aero parts on the Atlas, but that didn't turn out to be a problem in the end. And yeah, I'm slowly catching up to Steven and also the people in front of him, so yeah, this might still be an interesting race after all. Goleador spun out, so that's potentially another position that I can grab here. Without too much of a fight. Or basically any fight at all at this point. And there you can see third to sixth position are really neck and neck. So now getting really close to Steven, trying to get an overtake done, but yeah, he closes the door. So I gotta be careful here. I don't wanna overdo it. This is another set of really front-heavy vehicles, as you might guess by just their overall L shape. It's not that big of a deal though, because I think at least the engine is very low in the chassis, so at least it's not stupidly top-heavy or anything. But yeah, these things are very light on the back and you gotta be careful with them. But also I think in terms of the pace, the racing is just nice. It's not too fast. There's a lot of focus on the racecraft and corner taking overall. Like this one I could get a really good advantage by just cutting on the inside, which is exactly what that corner is meant for. But yeah, I don't think I'll be able to make it stick through this turn, so that's really a downside, especially coming on to the longest straight on the entire track here. Really wasn't able to take any speed through that because I just got pushed way to the outside. But yeah, fifth position right now. Not looking too bad overall. Ronhol is running away from us a little bit, but doesn't really matter too much. We are still having a decent proxy fight overall. And yeah, spun out quite a bit here, so gotta be careful. Goleador is approaching. But yeah, I managed to get the better line through the next turn, and this is exactly what I love about this event, the back and forth. Having vehicles that are slow enough to have a good focus on just taking the corners well and getting advantage through that. If you have like super strong vehicles that are just accelerating like supercars or anything like that, you don't really need to focus on getting the speed through the corners, and therefore it's really just keep the car under control and yeah, just smoke everybody on the next straight. This one is a bit more tactical, and I think this is a really, really nice balance that we might have to do more often. Yeah, I was kind of pushing Steven to the outside a little bit there in order to still get the checkpoint. I didn't get a position for that, but at least it worked out in that way. I should have maybe just stayed behind, because making that an overtake likely was ever going to happen. One thing I also like about this layout, and I'm just gonna be a bit self-congratulating here because this is one of my takes. I love the kind of flow you get from these consecutive left turns, for example, it's just really kind of nice. But yeah, I spun out, lost position, I'm back in 6th now, and I think I might stay here. But I try to make sure to get a layout which, despite there being a lot of sharp 90-degree turns, still feels a bit varied, partially because of road width variation, but it worked out pretty well, I would say. With how the overall area is laid out, I don't know if there are going to be many more tracks around here. But with this one and also the short version, I'm really happy with what we got here. But yeah, we are now in the last lap, of course. There's not really too much going on anymore. So yeah, I think this is going to be my position in the end, unless I make another mistake and get overtaken by Noel, but I hope I can avoid that. Oh, there was a little bit of a lag event happening. This was kind of funny because it also happened to Shaz, and Shaz was actually almost over the finish line when it happened for him, and that cost him first position. Yeah, we can read that in chat right now. So, yeah, whatever happened there, major issue for Shaz. Cost him the win. For me, it wasn't that dramatic, but it got me. It was a good scare. Let's call it that. But yeah, here we go. First event almost over. And that's the first race. Let's go on to the next one immediately. And this one is at Ara. So we are all ready. I'm going to try and jump a little bit ahead. Once again, I'm under a bit of time pressure. But yeah, here we go. Start of the race. I start in pole position, but get almost immediately overtaken by Shaz, losing first position, trying to at least hold on to second. But we are also going into a sharp turn right away. And I think I had a bit of a lag moment with Steven. I don't know if Steven records the races, but I'm pretty sure that on his end I just pushed him out far, so I try to not go too far to the left to avoid any further issues there. But yeah, this is how desync sometimes works in the game. Anyways, I'm now in third position. Coming around to this very long left-hander. Trying to get on the inside of Ronhul, who had a bit of a missed braking zone there, but no such luck. Got on the inside, but had to slow down a bit further, and that cost me the potential overtake there. But hey, we got a good amount of track to go. This is just the first lap, and we're not even halfway through that, so a lot of stuff can still happen here. I think this will be a 3-lap race if I'm not mistaken. Also just completely running over center there. He should have really gotten off the track much earlier. Also interesting seeing the suspension setup on Ron Hul's truck. I'm not entirely sure if I want this, what my truck would be looking like, but hey, at the end of the day, it's always about performance. But I've definitely made a few performance compromises here and there because some of the really good stuff is just not how I would like my stuff to roll. But given that there's a lot of weight on the front axle, it makes sense to just give that one much more, just a bit higher sitting than the back one. Basically having longer front springs to deal with compression a bit more. The rear can be really stiff theoretically. or even if you don't need to make it stiff, you can still reduce the ride height a little bit. So just looking at that thing, it makes sense to me. But once again, I think I like the stuff to be evened out just for visual purposes. The aesthetics just play too much of a role for me. But yeah, Ronholm missed the breaking point a little bit. I mean, this is basically another sharp turn after a long straight there. Just like we had on some other tracks in especially the Stellar event. These tracks feel much better on the braking than the Stellar though. But yeah, this one is also a very tricky and deceiving turn. Basically, Chess went way overboard. I also couldn't really keep my truck on the road, but yeah, then also got stopped by Chess for better or worse. So now in third position, but at least I'm in front of Chess now. Also, Goleador apparently the only one who managed to get through the turn in at a decent space and getting a few positions for that. So some of these corners are really important, as you see. But yeah, coming now into the second of 3 laps, we are going around Ara Town again. And yeah, I took the turn a bit poorly. I didn't have too much space to do this better, so yeah, I end up losing another position. So we're gonna have to see if I can get one back. We can see Ronald already coming around the long left-hand turn, so he is way ahead right now. And I gotta be careful not to lose the back on these turns. I'm basically almost spinning out twice here. Goleador having another similar situation a bit further ahead. So maybe I can capitalize on that. Steven and Chess are far, or not too far ahead, but a decent amount, and they also seem to be going a bit quicker than me, so gotta be careful not to completely lose them. And yeah, we can just see Ronhold in the distance, always taunting us by being still inside, but not really within reach. So here we have Steven and Chessboard side by side, and me coming up from behind. Chess is now ahead, and I'm side by side with Steven, trying to potentially dive bomb both of them. Didn't commit, doesn't work out, and I seem to be losing positions again. But yeah, this is a lot of back and forth here. And yeah, Goleador not able to get the most out of a turn, not being able to get a lot of speed onto the straight, so that's another position that I can get back. But yeah, this is the most fun racing that I had in this game so far. This is amazing, just all the back and forth. Just getting another position by being able to take a corner well and carry the speed. Losing another one because you almost spin out on the next one. The trucks are really nicely balanced in that way. Just stable enough to not always fight them, but also spicy enough so that you cannot be too careless about it. Okay, coming back around to the turn that caught almost all of us off guard last time. This time around it's all much smoother though. Steven almost having a spinning out moment, and sadly, yeah, just getting right in front of me as I try to overtake. Not much I can do about that. Raging now overtaking me. Yeah, I hope I can get that place back, but we'll have to see about Raging, of course, also being one of the faster guys around here. So I might be able to do something here, but not too sure. But it seems like I have a bit of speed over him, so it's enough for an overtake on this very long straight with these not too difficult corners before the long left-hander again, but you gotta be careful. Especially at speed, they can catch you off guard. But yeah, raging back in front. Chess slowly inching away. But yeah, I'm getting my position back, at least for now. Still got Steven in front of me, potentially for another overtaking opportunity sooner or later, but we'll have to see. I'm really trying to do something here, but it completely doesn't work because we are basically having the same breaking point here. And I wasn't brave enough to commit to letting go of the brake any sooner. But yeah, here we go, coming back around to the fast section. And me potentially being quite a bit quicker in this turn. Getting the inside line, getting right next to Steven, and now on the outside line. Not all that amazing. I tried to keep my speed up, but yeah, that didn't work. I don't think the game has any slipstream mechanic, so I don't think I'll be able to do anything here. I'm just basically stuck behind in 4th position now. There's still like 2 or 3 more turns to go, depending on how you count them. So there might still be something to be done, but we'll have to see if anything comes of it. Steven going slightly off-road and therefore being slowed down a little bit. That at least helped me to get close to him, but yeah, trying to get to his side also drove me off the road, so it's now all down to the last turn here. I'm cutting way off to the inside, but I don't think this is going to happen. This is photo finish almost, but at least I managed to get in 4th position and not be overtaken by raging. But yeah, this was a tight one. Anyways, off to the last track. And this is something that we've seen in the last event already. This is actually the short version of the same track. So there's going to be a bit of a preamble because somebody still needs to repair. Let me just jump right to the start procedure. So we have 8 people here, 6 in front in a very tight packed group, me behind that, and then there's another person behind me. So yeah, I don't like these tight starting grids. They usually just cause a lot of issues in the first turn, but this has gone pretty well. Ron Hull back in first, and after he just completely ran away in the last race, I'm a bit afraid of that same thing happening here. Side by side with Noel and having a bit of a problem with lag and not being able to keep my line here. But yeah, this one has a bit of a chaotic start. Also, don't know what happened there. And I also completely missed the breaking point for this one. So GG, this means that I need to at least let the people right in front of me or right behind me pass so that I can get back on track without issues. So I'm down in 6th position now, but I mean a lot of stuff can happen here. I don't think much will happen about Ron Hull's lead because that's just pretty straightforward, and with everybody else fighting for a position, I don't think anybody can break free and just get back up to him. Although at least Chessbot is trying. Okay, here we come back around to the harbor. Once again, this is the short version. Not going onto the highway, we are just onto the freeway. We are just going to be sticking very close to the harbor and the city. Okay, here we go, coming back around. First lap done. This is another 4-lap race, so still quite a bit to go. And yeah, honestly, I could have taken the corner, but trying to brake in order to avoid a crash there, that just caused me to drive off. If I didn't spend my front traction trying to brake and take the corner at the same time, this would have worked out most likely. I don't think I was going too fast there. I was just being caught off guard by whatever was happening at the end of the turn. Yeah, coming back around to the second lap. Back in the city, we can see Steven and Goleador had some issues there. Goleador still backwards. So that's potentially an easy overtake, but I tried to go a bit too far on the inside, or more like maybe slid out a little bit. If I went far to the outside, I could have done this in a much smoother way, but here we are. At least I'm still not completely out of competition here. Still could potentially catch back up to Steven. And a lot of people in front of him are also very much on the same part there, so there might still be things happening here. But here we go, coming back to the harbor another time, and at least I can now get a clear view of what's going on in front of me. So if I take these corners well, especially taking speed with me onto the straight here, I should be able to get maybe a bit closer. But this definitely wasn't the line to take here, I don't think. Should really take the first of the 290-degree turns there a bit slower, then set up for the second one and really, yeah, then hit the gas and go wide, get a good line and a lot of speed through there. But yeah, for some of it I have to transition into more longer term planning. Not trying to just get the best line through each of the corners individually, but really take into account the ones where I really need to be fast and which ones are more set up for the next one. But yeah, third time in the city, this time around apparently without any issues and also finally a decent line. Decide to change my perspective, go a bit closer, usually a bit better for just seeing what's happening to the vehicle. I feel like for this truck maybe the close camera is a bit too close, the far camera could be a bit closer. But I'll likely be just doing the rest of the race in this perspective. Also checking behind me, but I don't need to check that far because Goleador is basically breathing down my neck at this point. But here we go. Come back around. Some people already on the last lap. And again, not really the best line, but I think with how wide I go, if I didn't spin out towards the end, this would have been a decent amount of speed to take into the final straight and maybe get a bit closer to Steven. Also, interestingly enough, Ron Hool actually is in third place now, behind Raging and Chaz. So, yeah, I was wrong about my prediction regarding him just taking it away from start to finish. good to see that because as when that Macy's events happen, I don't want to see a single vehicle just running away from everybody else. Even if it's just with a guy who might just be the best driver in the moment for that particular track and vehicle combination. But seeing some active fighting for position is really nice, so that gives me a good feeling that this can go on as the same version that it is right now without any major adjustments needed for the next few events. So I'll be definitely reincorporating this into the event roster sooner than later, because this has just been fun. I might also just stick with the Cuda because that has turned out to be a pretty good vehicle overall. I think maybe the Atlas with the roof parts feels a bit more stable, at least with the way I have it tuned up, but I might have to do another comparison. But yeah, this truck felt really amazing to drive, so I wouldn't mind keeping that one around. Yeah, trying to go real wide here, real fast, and yeah, didn't really work out. And of course, with everybody else doing it, I also just had to drive off the end here. And you know what, with how this is going to end up, I think, in a sense, I'm the real winner here, making it onto the runway. But yeah, this was it for the 4x2 Cabover competition. Again, another one that I really want to revisit sooner than later because of just how amazing the racing was. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I gotta get going for my own upcoming event. Thanks for watching again and hope you enjoyed. Until next time, have a good one and bye bye.